Hey everyone, so now that we got done looking at those beautiful shots of the cornicione, aka the crust, we're going to start by giving ourselves a nice base to work with. Make your dough into a nice circle and lightly dust it with some flour. So now that we have a good base to work with, I'm just going to make some indentions to show where I'm going to first start forming the cornicione. So as you can see, I'm staying within the parameters that I set for myself and trying my best not to mess with the cornicione. Now you don't want to be pressing into the dough extremely hard because then you're going to get thin spots. You want to just be lightly going around, just making yourself a guide. Now that the cornicione is formed, we're going to move on to flattening out our base. So with this, you want to use your fingers as flat as possible. Do not be poking into the dough or you're going to again get thin spots. Now we're going to move on to what is usually the hardest part for people to first learn. So whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you're going to have a lead hand that's pulling up and you're using the outside of your hand to stretch the dough. Now your other non-dominant hand is going to be rotating the dough. Here I am just demonstrating what it's going to look like when you combine those two motions. Now as we start table stretching the dough, the last tip that I want to emphasize is pushing your fingers into the base of the cornicione as you're stretching. This is going to give you more definition for your final end product. Now that I've slowed down the video of me table stretching, you can see the motions combined. My fingers are pushing into the base of the cornicione, my left hand is rotating, and my right hand is stretching. So you always want to go back and take a look at your dough and just make sure that everything is to your liking and everything is consistent, because this is the last step where you can ensure a consistent rise. So now that I've broken down all those steps for you, I'm just going to demonstrate what they'll look like combined with a lot of practice and a lot of repetition. As we move on to the last step of stretching our dough, I demonstrate here how I flip it onto my hand, and now we're going to get the dough to its final size. Now that the dough is in our hands, the most important part to keep in mind is your hand position. Now again, this is going to look different whether you're right-handed or left-handed, but as you can see, I'm using my right hand more as a pedestal to stretch over. So you want to make sure that your fingers are kept curved. Don't poke them out or you're going to poke a hole in your dough. Don't be afraid to really utilize your forearm while stretching the dough off the table. As it gets bigger, it's going to need more support so that it doesn't rip or tear. Once you've made a lot of progress, make sure to hold up your dough to a light source and check for any thin spots. The last thing I want to point out in this step is a tip to avoid getting caught up like this. Now, as you can see, I really pushed the dough over my forearm. If you don't, you're going to get caught up and jammed up like this in the middle of a service, and it's just going to waste time. So make sure that you're pushing it all the way over your forearm. Now that we've got a beautifully stretched dough, the last step is to just top it and cook it. I really hope that this tutorial can help someone out, and the last thing I want to point out is that this is just the way that I stretch dough. I'm not saying it's the only way, but I do get pretty beautiful results. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed these last pizza shots.